Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
Yeah. It was good.
What's going on, man? This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B, man.
How you feeling, man? How you feeling? Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, thank you. Shoot, man, I had a tremendous weekend and a week. Just celebrating my birthday with a lot of family and friends. So definitely, man, eventful week, man.
Absolutely, man. It was fun, man. I had a good old time, man.
Oh yeah. I've got to throw another shindig at the house, man. Definitely get everything going, but I had a great time. Where do you want to start, man? There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to even begin.
I think we should start. Let's start NBA playoffs, but not necessarily the NBA playoffs. Let's start with the injuries that we've seen in these playoffs. You know, the injury bug has struck again. It got Trae Young, and then last night it got Giannis. I think Trae Young will be back. Giannis, I'm still not sure about. I don't know, man. That joint looked ugly.
Well, they said there's no structural damage to his knee. There's no timetable now, but everything went pretty positive. I don't know if he's going to be back the next game or the game or even the remaining part of the series, but there is a little bit of hope. It wasn't as bad as they initially suspected. I think, the injuries have created a different dynamic to this playoffs. I mean, in the back of your mind, you always know that people can get hurt, and you know that nothing's promised. But we see it like I'll take the Brooklyn Nets for instance, right? If you would have asked me when they got James Harden, I was like, you know what? There's no possible way that they could not win championship, and injuries has got the best of them. Same with the Lakers. I probably would have bet as much money as I could have bet that the Lakers and the Nets would have been in the finals playing each other. And I mean, you just see how injuries just derailed everything. So let me ask you this, right? And we've talked about it a bunch. Do you think these injuries are really tied to them starting earlier, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. I think it's a combination of the short layoff. I mean, it was a extremely short layoff. I think that playing deep into the playoffs, you're always risking injury just because it's the grueling season. But it's no coincidence that we have all these injuries to star players that were all in the bubble last year. I mean, at this point, it is what it is, and you just have to figure it out as a team and as a group to get through it. But I do think that the layoff, the short off season, the extremely short off season, played a huge role into these injuries.
I was listening to Keyshawn Johnson this morning, and he brought up an interesting point that if you look at all the injuries, they're basketball like injuries. Like they're all injuries like based off of like, you know, you look at Kawhi Leonard bumping his knee against somebody. You look at what was it, Kyrie Irving coming down on somebody. You look at Giannis yesterday, his injury. So I guess the amount of injuries, yeah, you get attribute to them starting early, but if you just go back and you look at the data, it's just like I don't know if I can necessarily say that because they are getting hurt on basketball plays.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean it matters, but I mean it's more wear and tear on your body than you would normally have in a shorter amount of time. So you could say, yeah, they had that time off when the pandemic started last year, but the amount of games that they've played from in the last 10 months is more than they probably played in their life, you know. And this is at the highest level. I mean, just think about it. Then, not to mention when they thought they were going to get a break. When they thought they were going to get a break, the league sprung on them. Oh yeah, let's play in the All-Star game. So yeah, those are basketball plays where they're playing basketball. I mean, so those injuries are gonna happen. They're playing. It's not like they were basketball players playing football. They're playing basketball. So yeah. So you can come down on your leg 10 times. 9 out of those 10 times, you'll probably be fine. But it's that one time where it's like, damn, you know, and that could come from not getting the necessary rest that you normally get or that your body's used to, and things of that nature. So yeah, they're somewhat common injuries, but they're happening at such a high rate that it's enough to have us talking about it now.
So let me ask you this, right? All right, so we all saw the game yesterday. Are the Milwaukee Bucks done without Giannis?
No.
Like, do you think they have a chance?
Absolutely.
Do you have a chance to beat Atlanta? I think so too. But I heard a lot of people say that they feel like they're done. Like they feel like that
done because they lost. They would have lost like that with Giannis anyway. You know, it just
but done for the series.
Huh?
Done for the series.
Yeah, I know, and I don't. I think a lot of people are saying that because Giannis got hurt, and I think that we tend to overreact. I wouldn't be surprised to see Giannis in Game 6, maybe even Game 5, but to say that they're done is crazy because Chris Middleton is legit, Drew Holiday is legit. You got guys like PJ Tucker and Lopez. Bobby Portis is gonna have to step up. He's gonna have to make plays. I mean, if you look at it, how many games? I mean, Kawhi's been out, and they're right in the thick of things. Some people would have said that they were done. I mean, what are they down? 3-2 now. I hope they're done, but as far as the Bucks, I think the Bucks are fine. I think the Bucks are just fine. They'll be fine, at least to get through this series.
Right. It's just like you said, man. It's just going to be interesting to see how I play. Lou Williams played phenomenal last night, man. He picked right up where Trae Young left off, and the Bucks last night. I think you are correct. They wouldn't have had a shot. That game, Atlanta led all the way through, and it was just. I mean, Nate McMillan is doing a phenomenal job coaching down there. I know he didn't coach the whole season, but I mean, my God, whoever pulled the plug on the previous coach that they had and had Nate McMillan step up. I mean, they virtually saved the Atlanta Hawks season, because I remember earlier this year, I mean, they were like in 10th place, and we felt like coming into the season that Atlanta had won the free agency prize. Like they had pretty much picked up all these players, and it was like, okay, Atlanta's going to definitely make some noise. They're going to be right there in the East. And the season started, and it was like, man, this stuff's not materializing. You start hearing like little whispers that Collins and Trae Young weren't getting along, and it just wasn't meshing. And I mean, you bring in Nate McMillan, well, he was already there, and you place the interim coach on him, and that team just totally turned around. And I mean, I even feel a little bit better about the Knicks losing to the Hawks, just off of the toughness that I've seen from the Hawks throughout these playoffs. I think that Trae Young, a lot of people felt like when that trade during the draft, Luka for Trae, like, oh man, the Hawks are stupid, and you don't ever give up that size, and Luka is a once in a generation type talent. And I mean, just look at Trae now. I mean, he's out there balling, man. I mean, he's definitely rose to the occasion.
Yeah, I think that both teams won on that trade a few years ago. Luka is he's special too, but what's his name? Trae Young is just as special, if not more special. He's doing some things on the court, like you're like, come on, man. Like, and then the thing is like Trae Young is like you can tell he's probably like in real life, he's probably like a great guy. But you got him on the court, and in between those lines, yo, this dude is a killer. He's a killer.
He balls.
Yeah, man.
Their games are nothing alike, but it's like Steph Curry-ish. Like you can't take him for granted when you see him. And he's got that tough gene to where he's going to show up. He's going to show up every night and give you what you got, and he's going to make you like try to stop him. I mean, if you sit in that double team to him, he's going to pass. If you don't double him, he's going to shoot. He's going to drive. Definitely one of my new favorite players to watch. But speaking of new favorite guys to watch, Devin Booker, man, what are your thoughts on him? Because he is phenomenal too, man.
Devin Booker is the man, right? But to say the next Kobe Bryant, I can't say that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to call Devin Booker the next Kobe Bryant. What I will say is Devin Booker is probably underrated.
Probably underrated is, I mean, yeah, he is underrated. So let's change the narrative about Devin Booker a little bit, right? Next Kobe Bryant, he's got a long way to go to be the next Kobe Bryant. Is his game patented behind Kobe Bryant? Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Does his game remind me of Kobe Bryant? Yeah, same way as when you watched Kobe Bryant early on, it reminded you of watching Michael Jordan. And a lot of people say, oh, yeah, that's the next Michael Jordan, but it made sense. Kobe grew up idolizing Michael Jordan and patenting his game around him. So there's a lot of similarities, like when you're watching them. And Devin Booker is like, you know what? I grew up watching Kobe. That was my favorite player. There's a lot of similarities in my game. I think he's mentally strong. He doesn't get rattled easily. He's not one of those guys that is really concerned with being the other team's friend. So he's got that similarity thing going for him. But the next Kobe Bryant, he's got to get this championship, and then he's got to do some other things to be in the same sentence as next Kobe Bryant.
So let me ask you a question about that, right? Do you think that they have the easiest road right now to the championship, to win the championship, Phoenix? 'Cause I tell you what, with that injury to Giannis, I said, I mean, Phoenix is gonna coast to a championship. Like I tell you this, if Giannis is hurt and they get to that championship, they're gonna beat the Bucks.
Okay, so here's the thing of where I'm at. Yeah, it's an easier road than what we're typically accustomed to, but it's going to come down to Paul George and CP3 tonight. It's going to come down to who wants it more. You look at Paul George, right? He's got the opportunity to change the whole narrative of how people view him. If he's able to pull off a championship without Kawhi Leonard, people are going to hold him into a different light. Right now,
Absolutely.
His personality, some of the things that he did during the pandemic, and some of the things that he did when not the pandemic, but when he was in the bubble, and some of the excuses and being waved bye to, and being depressed and not really being like a good teammate. Like, a lot of people look at Paul George as like soft, and he said that he played with a sense of urgency this year because he felt like he was disrespected. And I don't know if he ever really gets that respect unless he pulls out a championship. I mean, you think legitimately, right? And you look at it. This is Paul George's third conference finals, right? He had 2 in the East. He's got 1 in the West. When he was with Indiana, he was the man on that team. He just ran into a lot of he just ran into LeBron's teams, which, I mean, is understandable to lose to. And then when he went to OKC, it was just like him and Russell Westbrook. They liked each other as friends, but they really couldn't get on the same page to where they could turn the corner with that team. Then he goes to the Clippers, and it's like, okay, you're a second fiddle. But he's showing us right now with Kawhi Leonard being out that he can be a number 1 option if he's not sharing the ball, and he can be that star player. He's just got to put it all together.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. But with all that being said, I do think that they're going to lose tonight. But if they come back from 3-1 down, Paul Pierce is because Kawhi Leonard is not playing in this year. I think Kawhi Leonard is done until next season. That's just my personal opinion. I think they're just beating around the bush and just going to tell us before every game that he's not active. But if he can come back from 3-1 down, get to the finals, and win the championship for the first time ever in that organization's history without their number 1 guy, he's going to be at another level in LA. You're gonna see Paul George commercials everywhere you turn. You're gonna see Paul George jerseys like crazy. You might even see Paul George action figures because it's gonna take him to a whole nother level. I don't even think people are even gonna remember. I don't even think people are gonna even remember the bubble. They'll say one. And there's one person that I know who's been going to bat for Paul George. I almost said Paul Pierce again. For Paul George for the last couple of years. And I know I won't say the name because they're gonna come on the show soon. And she is, for whatever reason, a huge Paul George fan. And she will let everyone know that she was right. And I think that again, you're gonna see if Paul George wins the championship, don't be surprised, because I think this may happen anyway. Don't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard opts out.
Yeah. Okay. So hold that thought. We'll get there. So the thing about Paul George, and I think why he gets a bad rap, is he's one of those guys that has everything as far as like his game, right? He could do virtually anything that you think he could do, right? But The problem is a lot of times he doesn't meet those expectations, and a lot of times he makes excuses instead of just wearing the responsibility of the leader. Like he's not one to be like, you know what, this one's on me. I've got to get better, or I've got to do the intangibles. He'll shoot you an excuse. But right now, his teammates are holding him down too. I mean, Reggie Jackson is playing out of his world. I mean, he's balling, and a lot of people forget. I mean, yeah, he didn't have good seasons in Detroit, but he had solid seasons, right? He put up pretty decent numbers to where he didn't all of a sudden couldn't play basketball. And then you look at what the Morris twin is doing. I mean, he's out there balling. I mean, they're getting good minutes from DeMarcus Cousins. Patrick Beverly is doing what he needs to do as a defender. I mean, they're clicking on all cylinders. But before we get into Kawhi Leonard, I do want to ask you a question. If Paul George or CP3 do not get this done, which is the bigger disappointment?
Chris Paul. It was going to be a Paul, right? It was going to be. I think it definitely has to be Chris Paul. CP3. He'll be up again 3-1 and lose, and this time without Doc Rivers. So yeah, I think it's more of a bad look for Chris Paul because he's older. I feel like everything is working in his favor. Kawhi Leonard is hurt. Giannis will probably be hurt. Trae Young is a little slowed down right now. So everybody that he might have to go through, their best player is banged up somehow, some way. And I think that for if CP3 can't close this series out, and then if the Clippers happen to go win the championship again, after another team that he gives up a 3-1 lead to going to the championship is, I don't know, man. I think that that it'll be more of a burden on CP3 than it would be on Paul George. Paul George right now he's playing with house money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, he's just trying to change the narrative of his perception with the public, but he may, for all I know, have done enough to sway that. I think Paul George, people are looking at him like, okay, he could be a legitimate star, like he could carry a team, like he definitely ran into a better Suns team without their star player, so it's not like they're evenly matched. So he's definitely proved a lot. Chris Paul, to your point, is it won't get any easier than this, and he's that close. So if Chris Paul is sitting there probably in his house thinking like, I have to get this done tonight, is a must win. It's a must win game. You do not want to give the Clippers confidence, because if they even it up, and even if the game 7 is in Phoenix, you still have given them confidence to where they believe that, okay, well, first, they already had confidence, right? Because from the start of it, you go back to last year, they were up 3-1, and the team came from behind and beat them. So they know that it can be done, and they're looking like, we're the underdogs here, and maybe they play better as the underdogs. So you have to close them out, and we'll see if Devin Booker is really the Kobe Bryant type, because Kobe Bryant would understand more than anybody.
It's closing time.
It's closing time. Kobe Bryant,
absolutely,
in his career, with this going on, you can take young Kobe, you can take old Kobe, whichever Kobe Bryant.
You can take 20th year, last game of the season.
Yeah,
it's closing time.
It's closing. Yeah, he would definitely close them out tonight. So CP3, man, he's got to be tough. Devin Booker's got to be tough. DeAndre Ayton's got to continue to play good. And they've got to figure out how to get Cameron Payne more minutes. There's got to be a way that Chris Paul and Cameron Payne get share the court, because Cameron Payne has been a mismatch for anybody on the Clippers. I mean, his first step has been remarkable. I mean, he's gotten to the rim at just will. And even though he's got one of the ugliest shots I've seen, it goes in and it works. It works for him, and he's able to drain it. And he facilitates the offense fairly well. I mean, he puts up pretty good assists and plays well next to Devin Booker, so he's definitely the future out there in Phoenix. So we'll see if he can put it up. So let's go back to a point that you just brought up. All right, so Kawhi Leonard,
Right.
you think if they win, he opts out?
I think if they win, I think if they win with him, he stays. If they lose, with him, he stays. If they lose without him, he goes. If they win without him, he goes.
So I want to bring up something that I'm going to stir up a little bit of controversy, right? And maybe I'm the only one that thinks this. Okay. If I'm the Clippers, I probably let them walk. The reason why I would let him walk is Kawhi Leonard. I'm not going to say he's done, because he's still Kawhi Leonard. He's still one of the top players. But he's hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. He's essentially a low management guy that is going to give you, if it's an 82 season game, between 50 and 60 games. I mean, he's got to sit out. He is injury prone at this point in his career. I would personally try to free up some of that money and build my roster up. I don't know if the Clippers feel the same way, and they probably don't, because they gave up a lot to really like get him and Paul George and make that tandem work. But I think essentially they probably would be better off letting him walk, as crazy as that sounds.
Wow. Do you let Kawhi walk? I'll say this. I don't know about that. The only reason why is because they're not even in this position right now if they don't have Kawhi. If Kawhi doesn't take over in that Dallas series, Dallas wins that series. But to let him walk, you better be getting something back in return. I mean, you ain't going to get that much money back. You're not saving that much money. He's still going to be on the books for something. And you've given up so much. But now if you talk him into opting out, you do free up money. But I don't know if that's what I mean, if you're going to let him, if he's going to talk about opting out, then I'm thinking sign and trade, because you got to get something for somebody like Kawhi. You can't just let Kawhi just go and not get anything in return, because one, you don't have any picks. You don't have any draft picks. You don't have, I mean, how much money will you really have to go get another big free agent? Because I don't know if this same team returns next year without Kawhi, I don't think you're really making. You're probably a 6th seed in the West. So now if you can get something in return.
Stop there, because I want to ask you something about that comment, and I'll let you finish. Mm-hmm. With Kawhi coming back, where do you put them? So you said 6th seed without Kawhi. Where do you put them if he came back with that team?
Oh, and they got this team? Oh, yeah, they'll definitely be a top 4 seed. Maybe even 3. Maybe even 3.
So we're going from 3 seed to 6 seed. Do you think that
maybe even 7? Maybe back into the play-in game.
Okay, so all right, that's fair. So do you think with this team assembled next year in the West that they're capable of making it to the conference championship.
With all their pieces, with Kawhi,
with everybody. Let's say everybody returns. Everybody that's on their roster.
As much as I dislike a lot of the members on that roster, that is still a good roster. And if you have Kawhi, you definitely have a shot. If you have Kawhi, and let's not forget, Man is balling. I think that they've discovered something, which he was always a baller. I think that Man coming back next year, I believe that will be his third year, right? I think this is his second season or whatever. But whatever, he has that playoff experience now, and he's shown that he can be a solid piece, whether it's off the bench or as a starter, because he plays defense as well. So I think that if they come back, they can. Yeah, I mean, it'll be their third year together. Yeah, they'll be a force. But I hate saying that, but it's the truth.
And see, I disagree. I think the window was this year for them. I think that if he comes back, it'll never be the same. If it's a factor of injuries, keeping the team together, I think that for Paul George and the Clippers, with this roster, I'm not saying that they can't win it next year, they can't win it the year after, but I think the time is now. And I think if they try to bring back that same team and expect to get to the championship or to win it all, it's going to be tough sledding. I think the West is going to be that much stronger next year with a healthier everybody, and it's going to be that much harder. I think now is the opportunity for the Suns too. I mean, the Suns are here.
Well, I'll get back to the Suns, but the thing with the Clippers is they don't have any flexibility. So 90% of this roster is going to be the same. I mean, this is their team for the next year and a half. They don't have any real flexibility now. Jerry West is in the building with them, and he may somehow, some way, this man is a used car salesman, and he somehow gets the job done all the time wherever he goes.
But that's another reason why I think they're going to let him walk. Jerry West was the prime person that said, you know what, we got to get rid of CP3 for what we're paying him and what he's bringing value to it. It's not adding up. I can see Jerry West looking at Kawhi Leonard and saying the same thing and saying, you know what, it's better to let him walk. And we'll see what Jerry West we'll see what Jerry West does. But Jerry West, outside of Pat Riley, I mean, Pat Riley and Jerry West, are like right there as, to me, the sharpest. I mean, you got the guy with the Spurs, Buford.
Popovich.
Popovich, but yeah.
Buford. Yeah.
And I'm sure I forgot a couple, but as far as basketball minds, so the thing about Jerry West, right, and the thing about Pat Riley, I give them the same credit, is they've had success at pretty much every stop they've been to, right? They pretty much, whatever they know or whatever their blueprint is, they're able to duplicate that, right? And they're able to take it. Jerry West, I've got to roll with whatever he decides. Now, if he decides to bring back Kawhi and it's the best for it, I'll shut up. I'm not going to go against Jerry West. But if he decides that they're better off, let them opt out. And maybe Kawhi is sensing it too and decides like, hey, maybe it's time to go to Miami and team up with like a Jimmy Butler. Or I don't even know where Kawhi would even want to go. Because he obviously doesn't want to go to the Lakers. He couldn't go to Brooklyn. I don't know where else he should go.
Listen, there's this team. There's this team out there in Pennsylvania that could use a Kawhi Leonard.
You think he wants to play for Doc Rivers again?
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
let's talk about Doc Rivers for a second. I know you want to talk about Doc Rivers.
Hold on. Before we get, we're gonna come back to Doc Rivers because this is gonna take up some time. Let's get to the winner of the week real quick because all right, let's get to the winner of the week.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, so I'm gonna keep it brief, man. My winner of the week is Alex Caruso, man. If you haven't heard, this idiot tried to sneak some marijuana onto an airplane, man, and got arrested. And really, like, I don't down anybody for smoking weed or doing any drugs. I mean, that's your business. But like an airplane, bro, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Like that. That's no brainer. Like, what are you thinking, man? So, man, definitely, that's my winner of the week, man. What are your thoughts on that, man?
So my question was he flying? Was it like regular, or was he like in first class?
Yeah, so it's an airport. Like he's an alumnus of Texas A&M,
right?
So Texas A&M has like a airport on their campus or whatever, or close to their campus. And that's money, right? And he was flying out of there. But I mean, security is security. It's like, dude, what are you doing, man? And it was enough to where they booked him. They took him in. So, you know, we ain't talking about like a blunt in his pocket or a joint in his pocket. I mean, he ain't had no weight to distribute, but he had enough to where, right? It was like, nah, we ain't gonna let you. We ain't gonna let you go.
I mean, his bond was like $4,200, and he had to pay a $500 fine. I mean, he got it. He's got it.
It's just at bare minimum, it's just a funny story,
it's like,
right?
come on, man. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I think that's crazy. I mean, you know, a lot of states are relaxing the marijuana laws,
right?
But a lot of them are. It's July 1st is when they go into effect. It's going to be a slap on the wrist, but you got to be smarter, man. You got to be smarter.
You got to be more clever, man. You have to be more clever.
That awkward moment when white privilege doesn't work.
It doesn't work in your favor.
Oh my gosh! All right,
man.
But Alex Caruso, you big dummy. But anyway, Doc Rivers. I just want to say,
Glenn Rivers.
I just want to say, I wish I wouldn't. I should have been more prepared, because I would have went back to the old off the record show. Oh, we were in the studio. We were living a life. Probably had a couple drinks around. We just chit chatting, and I say Doc Rivers is an overrated coach. And my gosh, man, you would have thought I said that Doc Rivers should be hung. And man, everyone in the studio looked at me like I was, Doc Rivers is overrated. You're crazy. And you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I said, I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's overrated. When you're talking about Popovich, when you're talking about Spoelstra, because I remember you wouldn't put Spoelstra over Doc Rivers. Yes, Spoelstra. So I just feel like right now, this past series against Atlanta just proved that Doc Rivers, although he's a good coach, and I think that he should have a job, is an overrated coach. He's not a top 5 coach in the NBA. He's not. He's not a top 5 coach in the NBA. And,
okay. I wouldn't say he's overrated, right? Okay, so hold on.
Oh my God! What?
Atlanta. I would say more like a choke artist. I wouldn't say overrated. I'll say the moment sometimes maybe the lights get a little bit too big for Doc Rivers.
Overrated. Overrated. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say this, right? Okay, so we've been doing the show for so long. It feels like a yearly anniversary show to where we talk about Doc Rivers. Like I feel like every year for basically the 4 years that we've been doing this show, I've had to defend Doc Rivers. And you know what? When I saw this latest meltdown, I said, you know what? I was like, I don't know if he's overrated, but I can't defend Doc Rivers no more, man. I'm like, yo, he should keep his job. He shouldn't be fired, but they got to figure out how to. I don't know, man. He's got like the worst percentage of coaches in like game sevens.
He had 15 of them. He didn't win many of them. He didn't win many. So here's my thing with this, right? It seems like because it's the same old story every time. Last year, you had double-digit leads in 3 straight games, and you lost all 3 of those games. This year, you had double-digit leads in 2 out of the 3 games that you lost. And it's like, come on, man. It's like you have to find a way to stop the bleeding. You have to find a way to make the correct adjustments. I mean, it is what it is. We know Ben Simmons is getting paid a lot of money. We know Ben Simmons is a star. But he lost all his confidence. And again, we talked about it, and there's plenty of blame to go around. But you got to put a lot of it on Doc Rivers because he's the one that has the ability to pull Ben Simmons out. You know, he's the one that has the ability to go offense, defense if you have to.
So how much blame do you give Ben Simmons though?
I mean, so I'm gonna get to that at one point because one more point about Doc Rivers it's his job as the coach to figure out what is wrong with his players. Is to figure out what is wrong with his play and try and get their players back on track. Now, in the playoffs is a little tougher because you know you got that short turnaround. But if I had to give a percentage, I go 40-40 Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons, and then 20 for the rest of the team. I mean, because there's room for Embiid. There's room for some of the. I mean, there's enough blame for everybody.
Harris, yeah.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even go 40 Ben Simmons. I would probably go 35. I wouldn't because Tobias Harris is getting paid just as much as Ben Simmons, and he ain't showing up. He ain't show up. Joel Embiid has some key turnovers late in all 3 of those games that they blew. He had turnovers. He had key turnovers late in those games as well. So yeah, Ben Simmons, he's the point guard, and he has a lot of eyes on him, and he just looked like he shrunk. Like he's a 6'8", 6'9" guy, but he looked like he was 5'2". You know, and
so let me ask you this about Ben Simmons. Let me ask you: have you seen a bigger choke job from a player? From a superstar of his caliber, have you seen a bigger choke job?
Absolutely. Yes.
Really?
Yes. LeBron James, 2011 against Dallas. That was terrible.
No. I can't. No.
Scotty,
it was terrible.
He would not shoot the ball in the fourth quarter. He looked like Ben Simmons. Now, I tell you this. The very next season,
the difference between okay. So the 2011 series, okay, you're right. LeBron James had a terrible series. He had his worst series. That's the one blemish or the one I guess series that he had in the championship where people were like, nah, yo, you should have figured out how to get it done. And that'll be the thing to where after he retires, a lot of the older people, a lot of people will point to that series and be like, okay, that's the one where you choke. Ben Simmons ultimately, collapsed, bro. It was terrible, man. It was for somebody to be that big of a player, it was downright just. I mean, I get his confidence was gone, but the man shot, what was it, 34% from the free throw line? I mean, you could shoot 34%. I'm sure your daughter could shoot 34%. I mean, it was bad, man, and just did not do anything or try anything. Or, I mean,
but okay, so let me ask you this: when you're up almost 30 points in the second half, you're not supposed to lose that game. That's not all on Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons didn't give up a 30-point lead. That goes to coaching as well. That goes to coaching. And how you putting these guys in the best? Are you putting these guys in the best possible position to win? You're up by 19 points. The very next game, you're up by 19 points, and you lose the damn game. That's not just Ben Simmons. That is coaching.
So on our page, right, we should put up a poll, which was a bigger choke job: 2011 Finals with LeBron or Ben Simmons in this series. And I get, okay, so Doc Rivers, he's got his 35 to 40% blame. And I'm not disputing that, but a lot of that goes on Ben Simmons too. And I mean, at bare minimum, like you said, he should have took him out. I mean, if he wasn't going to run the offense the way that he needed to be run or take shots, I mean.
Well, he was passing the ball. He was passing just fine. He wouldn't shoot the damn ball.
Yeah, but he was giving him. Yeah, he was giving himself up as a threat. The reason why he's out there is he's a threat, not for his passing ability. I mean, he could pass too, when he's a hell of a defender. But at some point, they did need him to score. And like you said, the other teammates, that roster was loaded from top to bottom. That roster, if you look at it, outside of really the Nets, I mean, was probably
they were the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed. So
yeah, it was a pretty complete roster. Yeah. So somebody else on that team could have stepped up at a moment.
So let me say this.
Okay,
go ahead. No. All right. So look. Let me know if this is a hot take. I don't think this is a really hot take, because what I was getting at with LeBron was 2011. He had that series. In 2012, he came back like a man on a mission, and that was probably 2012. LeBron might be one of the greatest seasons, like, for one player that we had seen, right? I mean, he was like amazing, right? So two things. I think that Ben Simmons comes back next year, a new man. I think he comes back next year, and he is going to have an emphasis on scoring. I think he comes back next year and damn near averages a triple-double, and puts everyone on notice. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to have the best shot next year, but you're gonna see a considerable change in him, and where you see where he's worked on his game. And you could tell that he legitimately worked on his game, because up until now, we could tell that he ain't worked on his game and he ain't worked on his shot or anything, right? And I think that I feel that there'll be a top 2 seed in the East next year as well, and he'll be with Philly. I don't think Philly's gonna give up on him. I don't think they're gonna trade him. Even I heard, Minnesota. I heard some other teams, but I think he'll be back in Philly. They'll move some things around and probably get rid of some guys and bring some guys in. But I don't know if he'll be eligible for most improved player, because he was an all-star this past year. He was an all-star, right?
I mean, he has no choice though. I mean, they're going to, like you said, it's clearly obvious that he doesn't really work as hard as he should. So I think next year, I mean, this summer, he's going to put on the work. Philadelphia is going to be committed to making sure that this guy knows how to shoot. I mean, they have no choice. All the money that they have invested in him and this team and what they've done to this roster, that's the missing component of it, is him being able to have the ability to maybe not even shoot threes, but have some sort of mid-range game or
Right.
pose a threat or to do something. So I do say this, right? We talk about the choke artist of Doc Rivers, but part of his coaching that he's going to be critiqued on is can he get Ben Simmons up to speed? It looks like he got Embiid up to speed to where he needs to be, because Embiid had a phenomenal year, but he's going to have to play some part in developing Ben Simmons for that team to make it to the next level. If he can't do that, they're going to bring in a different coach, and he'll be out after 2 years.
I agree, and I feel like if this was year 2 or 3, he would have been fired after that series. He would have been fired.
Oh yeah, they got him out of there.
I don't think it's necessarily fair, but we know what it is. My last thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So here's the thing with Doc Rivers, right? The type of jobs that he has with the players that he has, you have to win. Like when you have rosters of that caliber, to where you've got the owners that are that committed to giving you the I think the type of coach we put him in, right? So Doc Rivers, maybe he is more like a Brad Stevens or a little bit of I don't want to say Larry Brown, but like a coach that is better with younger teams, right? Because we saw what he was able to do when he didn't have any superstars, right? But what we're asking Doc Rivers to do is to manage the egos, right? Or to be that coach to get you over the hump, right? So you always have those coaches that will get you to the Eastern Conference Finals or won't take you too far in the playoffs. And the Doug Collins, right? The Doug Collins coaches to where you're like, you know what? This guy could get us right there, but for whatever reason, he can't get us over the hump. Let's bring in this coach. Up until this point, we thought Doc Rivers is that guy. Like he is that coach that's going to be able to facilitate that. Because if you go back, well, what he was able to do with the Celtics, people placed a lot of stock in that. Then you start looking at the players really like Doc Rivers, and a lot of the players around the league really looked up to him. So people have this perception of Doc Rivers like, okay, he's a good guy. He's very likable. The players respect him. He's won before. He's a champion coach. This is the guy that's going to get us over the hump. But what we're consistently seeing is that he had an outlier year to where he had 3 of the best players that he was able to manage that specific year to where he couldn't lose, because those type of, the KGs, the Paul Pierces, the Ray Allens, he had 3 legitimate stars mixed with Rondo and Perkins that knew how to win, just never had the talent around them. So they seized the moment, and he happened to be there for the ride. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve any credit for it, but if you look back on it, do we place too much emphasis to what he did with Boston? And then we saw him with the Clippers, and we're like, okay, you've got all this talent, make it work. And then constantly he just wasn't able to make it work. And then you go back to the Kawhi and Paul George to where they're like, okay, you got too much talent to be losing the way that you're losing. And then you see it with the Ben Simmons and Embiid to where it's like, okay, you've got this talented roster. You're up. You're not even in a dog fight, but you can't, for whatever reason, stop the bleeding. So I don't know, man.
Yeah. Sounds overrated to me, but I get it.
You know, something I wanted to bring up that you have been preaching. But look, I want to bring up something that you've been preaching for a while. You've been pretty adamant. They passed the law today that the players, starting effective tomorrow, can start getting paid off of endorsements and likeness of themselves, man. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Hold on. You already know you're Listen, man. I think this is dope. I think it's long overdue. I feel like You know, don't just treat these men and women like property. I think that they should be able to make money off their name, their likeness, and all of those things. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of loopholes with the NCAA, and they're gonna try something. But I mean, this is a start. And I love it. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, and especially since now, my daughter's about to be in college soon. My nephew, my one of my younger nephews, he'll be in college in a couple years. I have a nephew in college, so it's like, all these kids are going to school. I have friends with kids that are about to go to school. Whether it's on scholarship or whatever, and they could actually play ball or whatever they're going to play their sport or whatever it is, and they can make money off of themselves, especially in this day and age with YouTube and Twitter, and you could hold your own camps if you want to with your name on a flyer and don't have to worry about getting suspended. So I think it's amazing. I think it's dope, and kids take advantage of it.
It's long overdue. Yeah, it's long overdue, and I think I want to go back to a point that you brought up is, other collegiate, or not even collegiate athletes, but other people that's on scholarship, man, they're able, like, if you've got a music scholarship, you're able to cut a record, and you would get all the proceeds of that. And I mean, it's just various examples of it. I think it's pretty cool that they got hire agents, to make them or get them in better positions to where they're able to take advantage of some of the marketing and, bring in branding experts and stuff like that. So, it's definitely a win for them.
And they should
and then it goes into go ahead.
No, I'm saying, but they still should be careful, because with that, you're going to see even more snakes out there trying to weasel their way into one of the top athletes and say, "Oh, I can get you X, Y, and Z," and then ultimately just steal the money from these kids. So you definitely have to be smart and stay on your toes with that.
Yeah, because you look at a lot of the local businesses and stuff, man, they clean up promoting like the kids and stuff. I mean, if I'm a star and they can give me like a car for doing a commercial or something like that, I mean, shout out to them, man. Shout out to them for that, man. And shout out to our lawmakers for realizing that we're behind the times, man. Some of the stuff,
Absolutely.
the NCAA is the biggest fraud out there, and
they're a mob, man. They are a mob. It's crazy, man. But yeah, man, I gotta get them some more horns, man. Forget this joint, man. But yeah, man, and let's see what happens. Now maybe we could get NCAA football back on the Xbox and the PlayStation, man, because I used to like playing that more than Madden sometimes, man, and but excuse me. So
the good part was it always came out a little bit earlier. So for me, I'd play that, and then when Madden came, I switch over to Madden. So
and speaking of football, right? I know we didn't talk a lot about football, and I know we'll have a lot to talk about next week, but. I don't know what made me think about, but Tebow, right? It ain't looking good for him. I think the reality is soon gonna set in. I mean, camp hasn't started yet, but just the talk is that he ain't cutting it. What are your thoughts about your boy Tebow?
I mean, they got a shot. I think it was a publicity stunt, and I mean. All in all, I'll be honest, right? I mean, come on, man. They gotta go. They gotta stop with this stuff now. I mean, he played football in like 7 years, like 5 years or something, man.
Yeah.
It's just like Yeah, this is like ridiculous. I mean, he couldn't even make the transition when he was in full shape, let alone 5 years later. I mean,
Right.
after a layoff of playing baseball, one thing about football, man, you take a couple years off. Like for the most part, it is extremely hard to work yourself back into like that football shape
Absolutely.
at the highest level. I mean, you got guys
Absolutely.
competing at the highest level, and you didn't even play tight end. Come on, man. They
Even
gotta
the
stop
guys,
with this.
even the guys that aren't even that are bench players, they've been playing tight end for so long that yeah, man. But hey, man. So
Yeah, the only way you pull that off is if like you see sometimes like the college basketball players, they can make the transition, but they're making the transition because they're supremely athletic and they're able to use whatever God gift abilities that they have to bridge the gap with the learning curve. Tim Tebow is definitely probably slower than he was as a player. Hadn't took a hit.
yeah, and even those guys that come out of college from playing basketball and start playing tight end or whatever in the NFL, they're 22 years old. and like you said, they got, they're 22. Tebow was like 32 or whatever, however old. He's old. So yeah, man, it is what it is. Like you said, the publicity stunt. I didn't really think he was gonna make the team anyway, but it's Urban Meyer's the way he sounded. It don't sound like he gonna make the team.
Well, Urban Meyer, I doubt that Tim Tebow drank, but it probably was some old backdoor arrangement that, like, when they got up, some of the Florida guys, and they was down at Urban Meyer crib, and he probably told them, like, yo, I ever get that opportunity, I'm going to bring you on, and we going to run it like.
And he the only one that remembered.
Yeah, he's the only one.
He was the only one that remembered. He the only one that remembered.
Urban Meyer probably looked at that text like, shit.
I can't believe he remembered that. Like, what? He's like, come on, Timothy.
Oh,
come
man.
on. But nah, man. I'm really excited for this football season, man. We're gonna get pretty much a full preseason. They have a full off season. And I mean, we'll talk about that a lot more later on down the line. But yeah, man. So before we get out of here, there's a couple things that happy birthday to you again. But happy birthday to my sister. Her birthday was the 23rd. Happy anniversary to my older sister Teresa. And happy anniversary to my wife. It's been 15 years. It's a long time. It's a long time. but it's been good, man. So going on vacation soon because I need one. But
ain't no wrong with
I
that.
still do the show. We're gonna still do the show. Live from the beach. But yeah, man, it was a lot happening. We didn't even record last week, and I mean that's fine. I mean, look, we went like 2 years in a row with like one off day. I think we could get 2 off days in one year. I think it's okay. I think we'll be okay. But yeah, man. So what you got before we get up out of here?
Man, I'm about to watch this game. 6 comes on at 8:30. It's 8:10, and I'm about to see what it do, man.
Who you got? Who you got tonight?
I got the Suns, man. Hopefully they pull it off. I'm rooting for the Suns.
All right, and one last thing, and you can tell me if this is a hot take or not. Next year's MVP. Did I tell you already?
Devin Booker.
No way. I think that Donovan Mitchell will be the MVP next year. Donovan Mitchell, MVP.
It all depends on what Utah does.
As far as
he's got to stay healthy too, man.
Yeah, he has to
stay healthy.
He does have to stay healthy. I mean, everybody has to stay healthy. But
yeah, the way the league is now, too many guys are having similar seasons. Like they're all having. It's every year for the past 5 years. you've had 3 to 5 guys that have had phenomenal seasons in different rights. And sometimes I think what's separating those guys is what their teams are doing and their ability to stay healthy. I mean, we saw it this year. We saw Steph Curry could have easily been the MVP. Joel Embiid could have been the MVP. James Harden could have been the MVP. And what it ultimately separated those guys was staying healthy. So if he stays healthy, I could definitely see it. And I hope Mitchell to the Knicks. Mitchell, Dame Lillard, one of them. And shout out to Chauncey Billups. He got the head coaching job. So
absolutely.
Jason
Kidd in Dallas. Yeah. And they saying that Sam Cassell might get the job in Washington.
I hope so. I hope so.
That'd be dope. Three black coaches hired. That'd be so we'll see. And you know, Dawn Staley and Becky Hammon should be getting some more looks, man. I'm sorry. Dawn Staley and Becky Hammon should be getting looks as head coaches.
They almost Becky Hammon almost got the Portland job, and I think that's why a lot of people were upset with Chauncey Billups swooped in there and got it. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll see if Dame Lillard gets moved. So
yeah, that'll suck though for Chauncey Billups. I'll tell you that right now.
Right,
that'll suck. But all right, man, let's get up out of here. We'll be back next week. Same YouTube channel, same Facebook space. Yeah, man. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
Oh, all right, we out.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.